Ingi, and I'm going to respond to a request I got on YouTube, and it is about the runes and oracle mixing, and basically what does a rune mean in relation to a tarot card. Though these systems are completely different, they have nothing to do with each other, but you can still look at a rune and say what would be the most similar meaning in a tarot card. So I'll go through each rune and tell you which card is the most similar in meaning to the runes. So the runes, as you know, some of you anyway, they know it's an old alphabet. It's an old Viking alphabet, and the meaning we got is from the old Norse rune poems, and they are much younger than the runes itself. So no one can exactly know for sure what the runes mean, because and I'm talking about the elder Futhark runes, because they're so old and it's not written down anywhere what they mean. The runes, we only know what they mean according to much younger texts in the rune poems. So, but using that as meanings, you can still use it as divination, because your subconscious will still pick the runes with the meanings that you have given it, even if it might not be 100% exactly how the Vikings read the runes. We can't really know because it's just too long ago and it hasn't been written down anywhere. So the first rune is Fehu, and Fehu means cattle. And because cattle was wealth, because they didn't have fiat currency, they didn't have government issued money. They had cattle that was movable wealth. So cattle is a symbol of wealth, and Fehu, if you look at the symbol, even looks like someone is holding two arms out to receive abundance. It's a bit subjective how you look at wealth as well, because with Fehu it is practical wealth, it is wealth that you can use. So it's not being wealthy in like a abstract kind of meaning, like I'm so wealthy because I have lots of friends, or I have so many great memories, or I live in a beautiful place. It means more practical wealth that will give you a good living standard. So the first card I think would really talk about wealth in that way is Ten of Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles speak of old money, so it's generational wealth as well. It can mean like money that you've invested and you're earning a return on it. So it is movable wealth as well. You can take it with you. Another tarot card is King of Pentacles. Now it's more the mindset. So the runes also will speak of your psychology. So if it speaks of having an abundance mindset, like you make money and you be abundant anywhere, in whatever area, it's King of Pentacles. That's the mindset of someone who can pretty much turn anything into a pot of gold, It's having the Midas touch. Four of Pentacles is another card about being wealthy, but now we're talking about investments and also maybe hoarding a little bit of wealth, building up your bank account, that kind of thing. Or owning valuable property as well. And then there's Ace of Pentacles, which means now is a good time to invest to become wealthy. The next rune is Uruz, which is the wild ox. So now we go from Fehu, which is like, cattle, sort of domesticated cow. Now we're at the ancestor of the cow, now we're at the wild ox, the non-domesticated cow, you might say even. And it's the auroch. And now it becomes about being more wild, and it's about taming oneself as well, and learning to control oneself, because it's a symbol of having a lot of power, strength. It can even be a symbol of just charging ahead, almost uncontrollably, like the gate is open. And it's much easier to open the gate than to close it. Like, it's much easier to just release it all than to bring it back in and refine. But that is, it's not refining. It's just kind of like going ahead with it. It's wild nature. So it's actually a symbol in some sense of courage. And it's hard to find a tarot card that really embodies this energy completely. Maybe the Chariot a little bit, because it's like you don't even know really what you're doing in the chariot, but you just know you have to go after it. You have to do it. So you have to just do it, even if you don't really know what you're doing. It's also a little bit of masculine power seen in the emperor. So it's a bit of both emperor, masculine power, wild nature that you see in the chariot, but also great strength as you see in the strength card. And in the strength card, the auroch is really symbolized with the lion. So here the lion is a wild animal, but it's a refinement in strength because the seeker realizes, I can't live out this wild animal. I'll wreck my life if I do that. And when you're getting Uruz, you have to look at your life as in, where are you kind of being a wild animal? Where do you need refinement? Because maybe it was perfect timing for you to have the courage to go through with something that you had to do. Maybe you needed courage to move, to go after like an idea, pursue something. But if you don't hone in on your emotions and control your emotions, you can very easily just spin out of control. So Uruz, there is a need for refinement here and learning to take responsibility. And we see that really in the strength card. The next rune is Thurisaz, and this is a rune that it symbolizes a thorn, so it's like a weapon as well. It looks a little bit like a hammer. Some say it's Thor's hammer, that it is actually Mjolnir. It's a symbol of. It's a weapon that you can use to protect yourself. So it's actually a weapon to use to defend yourself, not to attack with. And in the tarot cards, because it's pointing, in the rune you see the pointing outwards in the rune. I'm looking at Knight of Swords with the sharp edge pointing forward. It's a defense, basically. And the swords in the tarot is words, often, and thoughts. And the tongue can be a very effective weapon. It can be a defense, but it can also, of course, be used to attack. And Thurisaz can be attack as well. Especially if it's reversed, and it can mean that maybe someone is attacking with their defenses rather than using it only for defense. Maybe it is also not being able to use the tool of defense properly. So maybe ending up defenseless, or using it in the wrong way to attract danger. And with Knight of Swords, when it's really positive, it's actually someone who can navigate using a lot of common sense, using words, debating really well, and being able to move in the world in that way, but also being able to defend themselves really well as well. But when it's reversed, then it's almost like they use it in the same way as Thurisaz reversed. It becomes instability, attack, defenselessness, and even creating danger by using the weapon in the wrong way. Then it is a very interesting rune called Ansuz. This rune is connected to Odin. So it's a very powerful rune. But what I've noticed with this rune, it often shows up when someone is a bit misunderstood. But that is the reverse meaning as well. It's like being misunderstood, not able to communicate properly. But when Ansuz is at its best, it's someone who communicates in a way that it's leadership. It's very positive leadership. It's also knowing what to call things, giving something an appropriate name that really perfectly describes a situation or even a person, or it's the use of words in a very sophisticated way. That's what Ansuz means. And in the tarot, it is really the magician that's doing this. More than anyone else, it's the magician that uses words in a way that it's like they create magic with words, basically. But I think with Ansuz, it's also the hermit in some way, because the Ansuz with the leadership, and also it's connected to Odin, which is like really an old god, It's connected often, I feel, very much with the old souls. And that takes me to the hermit. And there is a lot of similarities with the hermits and Odin, because Odin was a wanderer and the hermit is a wanderer as well. And even though Odin in the Eddas were described often as a very dangerous character, the hermit is more seen as a very benevolent friend, teacher, spiritual guide. It still is a correlation there with the wanderer, someone who has a lot of wisdom, which is what Odin has. Odin has, the wisdom of the runes. and to be able to use the runes, read the runes, that takes me more really to the hermit, but also the magician as well. So there's correlation here with both the hermit and the magician. Okay, so the next card is a Raidho, which is riding. It's connected to Sleipnir, which is a magical horse. You know, the horse that could go through all the realms of, you know, the old worlds, or all the worlds that they used to believe in, the 9 worlds. But it's really a symbol of the realities, different dimensions of reality, different planes of existence. So now it's all about being able to access other realities through our imaginations. It takes me a little bit both to temperance, but also to all the, because of the horse connection, it takes me to all the knights, especially Knight of Wands, because Knight of Wands, even though it can often mean traveling to foreign land, it is often spiritual travel. And you're often going to be an outsider because you're going to go somewhere that's very different to yourself, so that you learn. And also, even if you do travel spiritually, even if you astral travel, you're still being out of your own, you know, comfort zone. You're out there in something new, looking at another world. And that's what the Knight of Wands means. It's also what Raidho means as well. The next rune is Kenaz. It means torch, and it speaks of seeing in the dark, you know. It also is about learning as well, and watching and observing. It's a rune that is connected to Heimdall, which is the god that watches over the rainbow bridge. So then it becomes really a message about taking very care of your home, of your, who do you let into your home, who do you let close. And the rune that I'm thinking of when I look at Kenaz, it's Ace of Wands, because that is fire as well. It's like a torch as well. So it's like a nice and good time to learn, nice and good time to start a new understanding. And the best way you can undertake new understanding is by doing. And that's what Ace of Wands means. So it's also about, it's more than just studying, it's also about doing and learning by doing. But it's also being very much wanting knowledge, and all the pages are in that energy of learning, taking on knowledge, being at the beginning of something and then growing. So I would say this card is all the pages as well as Ace of Wands. But I would say it's even Two of Wands, because Two of Wands, especially in the Rider-Waite deck, it's someone who stands up high and looks down. And that's a symbol of Heimdall, watching the rainbow bridge, watching what's going on, making a decision from a place of being informed about what is happening. The next rune is Gebo, and Gebo is a rune for gifts. It can mean that you're going to receive a gift. It can also mean that you have a lot of gifts as well. In my experience with Gebo, it's also about relationships and having a balanced relationship. So you have to look at your relationships when this rune shows up, but it speaks of a relationship that is that is blessed in some way. So it takes me to the Lovers card. That's a very blessed relationship. That is, you know, it's connected. The two lines are connected to each other in the middle. So it's like being equal. So being with someone that's your equal. And you're as important as each other. It's not one person more important than the other. It can also mean an agreement as well, but it often speaks of relationship. But just look, if you just open up a book and read about Gebo, it will say that it means a gift. So it can even mean your spiritual gifts as well, which is actually Ace of Cups. And if you do get Ace of Cups in a reading, it is connecting to your own spiritual gifts, and that will give you even divine relationships as well, friendships. But if you want soulmate, it will awaken a soulmate relationship if you're already in one, because sometimes people are in a relationship that is a soulmate relationship, but because they haven't awakened themselves spiritually, they don't know that they're with their soulmate. So Ace of Cups wakes up the person, wakes up the seeker spiritually. They will then recognize all of their divine relationships in their family, friendships, colleagues, but also romantically as well. The next rune is Wunjo. And Wunjo is seen as wooing, so now we're still at the more romantic side of life. It's to woo somebody, it's creating excitement between people, it is honoring somebody, or what you value, you praise it, you praise that person, you praise the ones that you love. But it can also mean just what you love, in your heart, like your family, your home. Usually people that have this rune are very strong-minded as well, because I think with this rune comes, they want to protect as well. They want to protect everything that they love, so they need to stay on top of things. It can mean, if it really flows, it becomes a very joyful rune. This one takes me really to the Empress card. It's like domestic bliss, a happy marriage, high vibration, but being incredibly intelligent and smart about life at the same time. The Empress is no fool. The Empress is someone who's on top of things, very intelligent, someone who has very high status in life as well. So if you do get Wunjo, look if it lays low or high in your layout, because if it lays low and you cast it like lays low, can mean it's a foundation. But it can also mean that maybe you want to go higher with everything you do. Maybe you want to increase things. So maybe you want to have more fulfillment in an area of your life. And the Empress is someone who wants fulfillment. They want to fulfill themselves, their creativity, but they also want their family life to blossom. So they really want to experience life right at the top of their game. Hagalaz is the next rune. Now we're in the second act. The runes are divided into 3 acts. And now we're more into the more harsher reality of life. Now it's hail. So Hagalaz means hail. So now it's like things are out of your control. So it's like the tower, like things are falling apart a little bit. It can mean that it's collapsing. Something is collapsing. So it can be the destructive powers of nature, or it can just be something happening in life that's chaotic, that is painful. It's connected to the queen of the underworld in the Norse mythology, which is Hela. But Hela was not like hell in Christianity. It was more where a place of the dead, basically. It wasn't like a hellish place. It was just a place where people went, and she was ruling that underworld. And it means then, if it shows up in your reading, that maybe a part of your life is not blossoming, like maybe it is a bit dead. So maybe you either have to make it come alive, or maybe it's time to let it go completely. So maybe it's something that is just giving you a lot of obstacles you can overcome, going through it and overcome it. But maybe it's also something you need to release as well. Maybe you're holding on to something that you meant to release. It can also be the death card as well, Hagalaz. It can be both tower and death, in the sense that it's something you have to let go of, something that you can't control, and you have to accept that there's some part of life you just can't control everything. The next rune is Nauthiz, and now we're in more where your needs are. You need to have your needs met. We can mean 5 of Pentacles, like similar, because in 5 of Pentacles the person is needing to be more self-reliant. They are depending a lot on help and charity, but it's even just the way they feel about themselves. It's like not feeling good, and therefore needing a lot of support emotionally as well. Now you see that in this rune, Nauthiz. It's like, what do you need? You might be hoping more than actually feeling that you are on top of things. So it's like this, hoping, crossing your fingers that things will go well, but feeling very powerless deep down. There is a luck seen in this rune, so with this rune it's actually developing faith. So it comes across as luck, that things are actually working out. But I see this one as a rune where someone really are hoping and wishing, and you see it even in a little bit in the tarot card 9 of Swords as well. Like it's someone who's worrying a lot and just hoping that things will get better, but they don't always know what to do to make it better. So it's like being worried about your destiny and your future, basically. So The next rune is Isa, which means ice. And then it's just things are frozen now. So now it's either you're going to have to make a decision. Either you hibernate until this winter is over, and the winter is basically a symbol of, not much is going to happen for a while. Or you're going to have to move, Either you hibernate or you move. That's what the two options you have. Either you move to a new energy, or if you stay with where you're at, with the old energy, it's going to take some time before things start moving. So it can mean a fear of change, can actually mean Eight of Swords. Someone doesn't know what to do. They're just kind of stuck. They're stuck because they believed in something that didn't really work out, but they can't let it go because they're too self-conscious in some ways. And also they are afraid of making a mistake. So that fear, that keeps them stuck. However, what you can do, you can use this time to create, because it's going to be a lot of time now that you have that you can do whatever you want with, really. Like you can either, procrastinate in this, or you can create something. That's up to you. Now the next rune is called Jera, and in Jera we see that now it's like things are changing. This actually means cycles, things are changing. There's like a new season basically. It means harvest, it means year. Time goes on, the year will bring you new opportunities. There are many opportunities just in the cycle of one day if you really start looking for those opportunities. So now we are in a completely new energy, but it's also about harvesting as well. So it's a little bit of that Seven of Pentacles. It's like you're working on the land, you're harvesting, you're working on refining, and you're reaping your rewards, but you might have to wait a little bit because it might not be the right season, but you're staying busy preparing for the future. That's Seven of Pentacles. It's also Eight of Pentacles as well. It's even Nine of Pentacles, where you're from seven, planting. Eight of Pentacles is, you keep refining, and Nine of Pentacles, you get your rewards. Usually in some kind of, it looks like overnight success. So in Jera, the seeker is really, really busy. So you get the Pentacles pretty much. Ace of Pentacles, Two of Pentacles as well. In Two of Pentacles, the seeker is very busy. Juggling everything in their life. Usually they have two jobs, or at least two income streams, even if it's a bartering job or a hobby that brings some money. And you see that in the Pentacles, the seeker is really busy living their lives in the material, their inner routine, and you see that in Jera as well. But I also think the World card is connected to Jera, because that means there's been a full cycle. And everything you put in will come to some kind of completion, and there are rewards there. And you see that with the World card, because there's a purpose there. And in Jera, the seeker has there's a lot of purpose there. You see that in the World card as well. There's a deep soul purpose in the seeker's life, and the seeker has a lot of meaning in their life. So the next rune is Ehwaz. And this rune is connected to a tree called the yew tree, that if you look it up, it can live for thousands of years. It grows in England and in Europe, and it's a very spiritual tree. It's hollow on the inside. It's actually dying on the inside and rejuvenating itself on the outside. So it's symbolic for that whole death and rebirth. So this is actually connected to death card, but also judgment, because there is a being born again. Now if you do get death and a judgment next to each other, it could mean that you even have had a near-death experience, or you've gone through something that has completely renewed you. And Ehwaz often means that there's been a renewal. But it can also mean that you are very strong, and you're able to go through a process of initiation almost that can be a little bit difficult. But because you're so strong, you're able to refine yourself and strengthen yourself in that energy. So it's a bit connected actually to, I would say this card is it's connected both to death and judgment. I would say even the High Priestess as well. Only because the High Priestess lives in two worlds, and with Eihwaz, you have the two worlds of death and renewal happening at the same time, and it's like the ultimate rune for survival, and that's also a meaning of the High Priestess, who survives and renews and lives in all kinds of difficulties without perishing, basically. She actually even bettering herself in difficult situations, and that is what Eihwaz means. So it means transformation, learning what is truly important. It is also having spiritual protection as well, and spiritual protection is seen in Judgment card. It's also seen in High Priestess. It's seen in Hierophant as well. There's spiritual protection seen in a lot of the cards. It's seen in the Fool a lot. You can even look at the World and the Fool as sort of an endless cycle as well. And maybe that's a better that those two cards might be better fitting than even Death and Judgment. It's a symbol of death and rebirth, basically. After Eihwaz, we got Perthro, which is really a rune for the fortune teller, because now we have the fortune teller cup, and it's a dice cup, but it's a gambling cup, but it's also fortune telling cup, and also even as a symbol for the gambling cup, it's like luck. You're hoping for luck. You're hoping for a surprise. You're waiting for the unknown, something to be revealed that's going to change your destiny in some way. So Perthro speaks of a surprise. It can speak of a change in destiny, change in luck. When it's reversed, it becomes more disappointment, but also lack of taking any risks, because with Perthro upright, the gambling cup, or even if it's used for divination, you're still taking a chance on luck, on something to happen that you can't foresee, a little bit of the unknown. Just taking a little bit of risks for rewards. So I would say Perthro is similar to the Fool in that sense, that it's having something unexpected happen and taking a risks, because you know that the rewards will outweigh the risk. And that's what the mental attitude of the Fool really is. It's like being carefree and seeing what happens, but doesn't really plan anything. You see a little bit of that carefreeness in Two of Pentacles as well. That they're really relying a lot on luck, and they're relying on making it up as they go, following their own set of rules. And the rules are usually making it up as they go. They don't really plan anything. So Perthro, I will draw that one to the Fool. A little bit to the High Priestess as well, because it is that unknown and playing with that energy of the unknown. And that's what the High Priestess does as well. So when Perthro shows up in your reading, it could be that you're very drawn into mysteries and you want to solve a mystery. So in some ways it's even connected to the moon a little bit as well. So the moon, the Fool, the High Priestess, and even Two of Pentacles have similar energies to Perthro. Algiz is a rune that speaks of an antler of either a moose or a deer. It's also a symbol of spiritual energy, in the sense that the antlers is like, it's like energy pointing upward, almost like extrasensory device where you can communicate with your spiritual team. And so it really is a symbol of temperance in the tarot cards, which is a symbol of your guardian angel, your spiritual team, and to be able to communicate with them, hearing them, tuning in on what their wisdom is. Algiz is very connected to that type of mentality, and you see the same in temperance. This rune shows up and you need to take a higher perspective, and in that sense it even connects to the Judgment tarot card. Sowilo is the Sun rune, and this rune is a big yes in your reading, similar to the Sun in the tarot card. So it just means happiness. The sun gives life to all things, so it means more fulfillment, more happiness, more life force and vitality, more success in your life. It speaks of a new world as well. So it's like a better world, creating a better world, a better future, a better reality, more happiness, more fairness. It speaks of positive outcomes in your life, similar to the sun. Tiwaz is the next one. And now we're more into the masculine, so this is masculine energy. It is the emperor, but it's also the knights as well, because it is a warrior, and the knights are the warriors in the tarot cards, especially Knight of Swords again, as we have spoken about, but also Knight of Wands, which is more spiritual warfare then in that sense. So this is someone who he wants to fight for your justice and for your protection. It is also very much connected to the Hanged Man, because in Tiwaz there is a sacrifice being made, but in the Hanged Man it's like a sacrifice. It's just simply that you're sacrificing your point of view to see something in a different way. Yeah, so in Tiwaz the sacrifice is in the mythology that the god Tyr sacrificed his arm so that they could shackle the beast Fenris, who was going to, destroy the world basically. Fenris refused to be bound up unless one of the gods put their hand in his mouth. So Tyr, he basically did it, and he had his arm bitten off, or hand bitten off. So that means making a sacrifice for the higher good, being the one courageous enough to do it. So it also connects to the strength card in some way, courage. So this card, I would say, is courage seen in strength, courage seen in all the wands, because they're very courageous as well, seen in the Hanged Man, which is courageous to look at life in a different way and taking responsibility for his emotions, and also courage to do the right thing even though it's going to cost you dearly. You see that in the emperor, which is very much someone who's very principled, and that means sometimes the emperor is hated for that, but that's a sacrifice as well, to be hated to do the right thing. So I would say Tiwaz is connected to all of those tarot cards. Then we got Berkano, and now we are again back to the trees again. Trees are the most enlightened beings on the earth. So when you get trees, either you get Ehwaz, which is Yggdrasil, or the yew tree. Now we get the birch tree. It's connected again to spirituality, to purification that leads to enlightenment, that leads to higher vibration. Now you are a tree again, but it's like being planted. So whatever is going on when this rune is showing up, it means that you're being prepared for something greater than what you can even imagine. That's what it means. It can mean that you're going to give birth to something as well. It's connected to Berkano, the goddess. So it is. It can mean that you're even going to create a family, that you're going to grow a family. If it's not about family and giving birth, it's then giving birth to something greater than yourself in some other sense, what you're going to be doing. You won't be able to see it fully now because you're at the seed stage, but it can also mean that you already have grown quite a bit, and you can start seeing, okay, I was planted, that's why it happened, or that's why all the things happened, but I understand that it was for this reason. It's a little bit similar to the star, because the star is often right at the beginning of something that's going to happen that is much bigger than themselves, and they can't see it all. They're just being purified. Similar to Berkano, it's a purification rune. In the star, the seeker is being purified and prepared. So everything that's happening is actually there to prepare them as well. It can also be seen as the Six of Cups, which is a very purifying tarot card, even though it is memories, even though it is childhood in the past. It is something happened that something was planted that it has made you able now to do something. And if this didn't happen, you wouldn't be able now to do what you're doing. It can also be 8 of Cups, because there is a purification and enlightenment scene in Berkano, and that can be seen in 8 of Cups when someone is basically walking a spiritual path away from the material as a way of purifying themselves, and they come back to the world as 9 of Cups, completely different and able to take care of others and help others through their own understanding and even their own ability to be grounded. You see it in 10 of Cups as well as harmony, but it's because of the work that was done previously. So depending on where you are in your journey, are you a seed, are you a young tree, are you a grown tree with big roots? You will know where you're at when you get Berkano. You could perhaps be Page of Cups. Again, now you're in purification stage. Or maybe you are grown fully into a magnificent tree, and you have branches that are reaching out, and many people are benefiting from your life. You are creating opportunities for others. That is also the meaning of the World card, when someone is, their place in the world is benefiting so many other people. So it cannot even mean that, but the World card is also very much connected to the Eihwaz rune. So you might get both Eihwaz and Berkano. Then you know that there has been a strong growing period in your life, and now other people are benefiting from you because of the work that you have done. Ehwaz means horse. So now it means, again, it's a relationship that you have with, it's spiritual. To me, a horse often shows up in my dreams, and it means being carried. It's a spiritual symbol. It's being carried by a spiritual energy. It's creator of all carrying you through life. It's similar to the chariot, because with the chariot you are being pulled forward almost by an invisible force, and you don't even, with the chariot sometimes it happens in a way that you don't even feel prepared. You're just being pulled by this force. You have the courage to do it because the creator is pulling you forward. It's spiritual energy just pulling you forward in life. It's the same thing with Ehwaz, carrying you, pulling you, making you go where you need to be. It can mean that trust is being developed, and trust is being developed in the chariot as well. It can even mean that you have found someone in life that is helping you out so much. It can mean a life partner as well, similar to Gebo. So it can mean a marriage and loyalty and trust between two people. It can be 2 of Cups. So it can mean that you have, it has manifested in your life a partner that is very loyal to you, and it gives you a lot of happiness and confidence in yourself through this relationship. But I would even go as far as say that the Fool is connected to Ehwaz as well, because Ehwaz is sometimes that need to go and do something is so great, it makes no sense to anybody other than you, and you can't explain it, but it's because you are being pulled through your faith so much into an area that you just have to do it, and there's no fear, it's just faith. So it can mean that as well. I would say it's connected to Knight of Cups. You know, it's someone who's very peaceful and kind. I would even go as far as say that Ehwaz is connected to the Wheel of Fortune, which is a big destiny card. It takes you where you need to be, where you belong, basically. And Ehwaz is similar. It is where you are meant to be, and it's a place of peace. It's a place of respite in many ways. So the next rune is Mannaz. This rune speaks of ingenuity, human inventions, cleverness, something that's been made by man. So it's a world of mankind. So it's like something we have invented, something that's a human system. It's society. So it can speak of justice, actually. Justice is something that we have created our society around. it's a human invention, so it also will take us to organized religions, which is the Hierophant, or even everything else that we have invented, which often is symbolized by the hanged man. So hanged man, justice, and Hierophant are human inventions, human ways of organizing our societies. So that is Mannaz. The next rune is Laguz. So Laguz is our imagination, it is our creativity, it's a life force as well. This is our consciousness, but often a little bit on the unconscious. It's our dream world, our spirit world, our dreams, psychic ability, but also our psychic needs as well. It's how we move forward in the world through our programming. It can even mean what we choose to study as well. It's connected to Laguz. It can be a rune even for academic success. So it's about trying to understand ourselves, but spiritually. We try to understand ourselves spiritually in this rune. So it's a Hierophant, but because of this is it's a water rune. It is also connected to the moon and the high priestess. It's very mysterious because everything that goes on under the surface, we can only see our reflection. We don't get to see everything underneath. So we want to get to know each other more. We want to get to know ourselves more. But when we look, all we see is our reflection. So it is connected also to Ace of Cups. You know, it's our spiritual needs. How we are able to calm the waters using our spiritual gifts. Because when there's a storm around us, it's our spiritual gifts that will be able to calm everything down. And we see that in Ace of Cups. We also see it in King of Cups as well, and we see it in the Hanged Man, which is connected to Neptune. And the Hanged Man looks at everything differently, so is able to see things deeper. You know, you might even see that he has gone underwater in some ways. It's a high priestess looking at mysteries. She's connected to the moon as well. And the tarot card, the moon, that also is the ebb and flow of our emotions. There's a need within everyone to be connected to ourselves and others, but even more so to a higher power. And that's seen in Laguz. And the way that we communicate and the way we are being communicated to is often through our imagination, and also our unconscious fears and our hopes and desires often comes out through artwork, and that's what Laguz speak of. That need that Laguz describes is a deeply psychological need, even seen it in Eight of Cups. So it's a theme that repeats itself in many tarot cards. Inguz, and Inguz is Freya. Freya is being the god of peace. It's god of horses. So now again, it's creating something beautiful, a beautiful space for yourself. It even looks like DNA. Like in some runes, they even have drawn the lines up further so that it looks like the DNA going like this. So you can speak of your DNA. You can speak of especially your male side of your family and your ancestry. This is a male influence in your life, but it's very protective and peaceful and benevolent. Can speak of male fertility as well. It's a deep love of nature seen in this rune, and a deep love of everything that is living. So Frey is a Vanir god who lives in Alfheim, the home of elves, and it is also then about simplicity as well in your life. That is, you don't overcomplicate things. Knight of Cups again comes to mind in Inguz, but because it's male fertility, you can't really go past the Emperor or the kings as well. So all the kings as well, I would say, especially King of Cups and King of Pentacles and King of Wands. When you get Inguz in your reading, you have to read your whole layout in a more positive way, because there is more peace and harmony created in your life because of the influence seen. in the runes, in that particular rune. It's also a rune for common sense. So if you do have a question of how to move forward and maybe complicated things and you get Inguz, it means that it's the most common sense way forward. That is the way. The next rune is Dagaz, and now we are talking about a new day. So it is it's a new day basically. It is hope, it is new beginnings, it is positivity, inspirations, it's a breakthrough rune. It is similar to judgment, because judgment is a new day as well, especially if there's been darkness and it's almost like you've been saved in some ways. So it is having safety in your life, having balanced something out in your life, and this balance is seen also in temperance and justice as well. It's connected to Heimdall again, who is watching over the rainbow bridge. So it is also about that boundary, that you don't let just anybody enter your space in your life. You have to be very selective, and that you watch out for yourself, your family, and what is your heaven on earth basically. It's a breakthrough in the sense that you'll see something that will make your life easier. Like you'll have an awareness or a vision that will help you make a bold change, that will make your life where you'll go in the direction where it was meant to go basically. It means the day, so it is a very positive rune. It's can be connected also to the sun as well. So judgment followed by sun, for example, is Dagaz. The last rune is Othala, which is your homeland, your ancestry, your inheritance, your home, property, security. It can even mean like your family, but in the sense of your ancestry, watching over you. When this rune, for example, is reversed, and it's like this connection from original family, like from your ancestry, maybe it's even homelessness, maybe it's losing your way in life, maybe it is dependency in a really bad way of depending on something that's very bad for you. It can even be complete lack of morale and being led astray. So Othala upright is doing what is right, but also what is expected of you from an ancestral point of view. We all have our cultural heritage, what is accepted culturally. That's what Othala means. It means that what you're reacting to is because of your culturally, you are being conditioned in one way. So you react to your environment accordingly. You'll see that in the Hierophant, you'll see it in the Emperor and the Empress. You see this in Ace of Wands, which is also a symbol of ancestry actually. It's even though it's about new beginning and going forward, and all, it also speaks of you are a product of everyone that was before you. It's also a symbol of DNA as well, in that sense, ancestral DNA. Like you have an ancestral energy in you, and therefore they are behind you, pushing you forward as well. And that's also important to know with Ace of Wands. It's not just you operating on your own. It is Eight of Wands. It's taking action and moving forward, but it's an invisible energy as well, pushing you forward. And it's all the wands also speak of your ancestral DNA. It's another meaning of all the wands. It's spiritual energy. Yes, we belong to the Creator and we have Creator energy in us, but we also have our ancestral DNA energy that are also expecting us to act and do certain things. So we are under quite a lot of influences. And also in Ten of Pentacles also is a symbol of our family unit, from young to old, but also those who have passed and also those who are to come as well. So when it shows up, it's there to remind you that you are part of your ancestral lineage and that they are still very much a part of you today. It is a soul's journey, but the soul, you can even expand on that and say it's an ancestral journey. and the wands is your spirit, but it's your ancestral spirit as well. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on what the runes and the tarot cards mean. The best way to read the runes is to do scrying. You cast them, and instead of thinking that rune means this, that rune means that, just try and calm your mind and just look at the runes and see what voice are the inner voice is telling you, feelings. Maybe you get a vision. It might be something very simple that you're seeing, or you just understand something. You get maybe to see a glimpse of what it's like for someone else if you're asking about somebody. See it from their perspective. Scrying rather than trying to read and scrying is very right-brained, but trying to piece together all the meanings is more like an analytical left brain. You can of course do that, but also allow yourself to do the scrying part. This is where all the magic happens, I find, with the runes. So guys, let me know how you go and how you go with your oracle mixing. Bye guys.